Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning for celebrating Buddha's birthday 2564. Our service today will be officiated by the Venerable Hajisunu.
Please come safely close to the altar for the chanting of the three refuges. And now the English version, written originally by Paramita Nathaniel Needle and sung this morning by our Dharma teacher, Hayun. I put my trust in the Buddha, and I resolve that with all beings I will realize the great way. And I will grow a heart of enlightenment. I put my trust in the Dharma, and I resolve that with all beings I will penetrate sutra treasures, and I will pass through Dharma gates beyond all measure, uncovering wisdom as vast as the ocean. I put my trust in the Sangha, my brothers and sisters in times of need, and I resolve that nothing will impede our gentle walk to a world that's free, liberated society. I put my trust in these jewels three, perfect and complete right now, inside of me, this moment. And I resolve that with all beings, I will dedicate each moment to their realization in this lifetime. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, in this lifetime. Please return to your places now and prepare for the chanting of the Great Compassion Dharma. Please pass out the chanting books for those who need them. I think where are they? They're just up there. What page, please?
21.
Page 21. And for those of you joining us from a distance, page 21 in Moon Journeying Through Clouds. Or if you go to the Buddhist Society website, you can look in the chanting section.
Yogaya Samaha Sankasodhari Mudanaya Samaha Maharadhantakaraya Samaha Pamasaranta Isasi Seda Karina Niraya Samaha Yaya Rajana Ivasanaya Samaha Namo Rajanadaya Yaya Ramaraya Parobhije Sevaraya Samaha.
Please tuck your chanting books underneath your mats and cushions. With all special services about the Buddhist life, we always remember some of his teachings. So Maung will begin. Please bring your hands in Hapchang of sincere heart so that you can be fully present. Heart, mind, ears open as you listen to scripture, wisdom.
Buddhist Charter of Inquiry, Kalama Sutta. Do not believe anything on mere hearsay. Do not believe in traditions merely because they are old and have been handed down for many generations and in many places. Do not believe anything on account of rumors or because people talk a great deal about it. Do not believe because the written testimony of some ancient sage is shown to thee. Do not believe in what you have fancied, thinking that because it is extraordinary, it must have been inspired by a god or an other wonderful being. Do not believe anything merely because presumption is in its favor, or because the custom of many years inclines you to take it as true. Do not believe anything merely on the authority of your teachers and priests. But whatsoever, after thorough investigation and reflection, is found to agree with reason and experience as conducive to the good and benefit of one and all, and of the world at large, that only accept as true, and shape your life in accordance therewith. The same text, said the Buddha, must be applied to his own teachings. Do not accept any doctrine from reverence, but first try it, as gold is tried by fire. And now,
just before Maung does the second reading of the scripture on loving kindness, if there are children with us out there, it might be a good time for them to go out and gather flowers and to maybe even organize for a little parade later, if this feels like it's a little bit too much for them. So everyone is welcome. In fact, well, I guess children of any age is welcome to go out. It's such a beautiful spring morning. But those inclined, let us continue with our listening deeply to the Metta Sutta.
Metta Sutta, meditation on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech. humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, and even as parents protect with their lives their children, their only children, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection.
Now Hayun, our Dharma teacher, will read to us the story of the birth of the Buddha. Again, I encourage your deep listening.
I read from the book by Rafe Martin called The Hungry Tigress. This is the chapter called The Birth of the Buddha. It was long ago in India that Queen Maya, wife of King Suddhodana, dreamt of a six-tusked white elephant that entered her room and touched her right side with a lotus flower. The king called for his wise men to interpret the dream. They all predicted that a child destined for greatness would soon be born. If he follows a worldly path, they announced, he will become a great ruler, even emperor of the world. If he recognizes the truth of impermanence, he will seek a higher life. He will leave the palace in quest of enlightenment. Undergoing much hardship, he will finally attain complete understanding and become a teacher to gods, to beasts, and humankind. The queen was overjoyed, but King Suddhodana, while rejoicing, was troubled. He could not help but think of how he might protect his son from hardship and danger, and of how he might help him become the great man who would rule the world. One day, almost 10 months later, Queen Maya set out to give birth in her home, in the home of her parents. On the way, she passed a magnificent park near the town of Lumbini. There, she and her attendants stopped to rest in a grove of ancient sala trees. Queen Maya wandered through the gardens until she stood beneath the largest and oldest tree in the grove. She reached up to touch the petals of an open blossom. White and golden yellow lotus petals tumbled from the skies in a rain of flowers. The earth breathed forth delicate odors, jasmine, rose, and sandalwood. From the air itself came magically sounding a music of silvery bells and of high, clear voices singing in a language of delight. Her son was born. Skywalking devas appeared at the mother's side and washed the child in streams of heavenly dew. The baby Buddha took 7 steps, and at each step, a lotus blossom sprang up to support his feet. Raising one hand up toward the heavens and pointing the other down towards the earth, he fearlessly sounded the Buddha's lion roar. Above the heavens, below the heavens, I am the only one. Queen Maya gathered her long-awaited child into her arms, and as she did, the infant lapsed from all signs of special consciousness of power. However, the queen had heard and seen. That day, there could be no one happier than she. Unless it was the Buddha himself. Though just a newborn child, he already looked on each deva, man, woman, and child, animal, flower, tree, and stone, with a parent's tender love. After many ages of sustained effort, he had at last come into life prepared to aid them all. The sutra of this teaching is called Sutra 123, Wonderful and Marvelous. So together, let's shout 3 times, wonderful and marvelous.
Wonderful and marvelous. Wonderful and marvelous. Wonderful and marvelous. Yay!
Let's have just a pause now for some meditation. 5 minutes. So that we may reflect on the teachings and this story of the Buddha's birth.
beautiful.
Metaphorically speaking, please come and sit around. The doors of this small meditation room have been flung open for the first time. And spring is seductive. Through the doors and through the windows, we can hear the birds. We can see the sunshine. And in the yard of the temple, many trees are in blossom. Many trees are getting their leaves. And we've got a chicken house started. A very warm welcome to this Buddha's birthday celebration, 2564. Yeah. It's really wonderful to have everyone with us. I was especially reminded last night of our interrelated Sangha and our friendships when I watched the Burning Karma Cabaret and saw people from our several Sanghas and from at large distances. And what a bunch of talented people and characters. It reminded me of when I was in Korea with Sunaman pilgrimage in the early 1980s. What a time it was. I had no idea what I was getting into any day. And over the course of the 3 months and a bit, we ended up in over 90 temples. Sometimes we would visit laypersons' homes, and they would provide the most delicious food, and then we would have entertainment. It was just a common thing that there would be entertainment and everyone be offering things. Like I remember in one place, they had a piano and someone could play the piano so beautifully. It sounded like the person was playing a concert for us. Simply beautiful. Just like Ramsey Lewis. And then there were singers, and there's this one Korean song that it was just sung with the most heart. It was something like ah-dee-da-dee-da-dee-ah-dee-da. I think it's all wrong, but you get the feeling. And so everybody would do something. And I was just awed by the kind of willingness and the talent of just the people who were there, we'd had supper with. So Sunim would then turn to me and he'd say, okay. And at that time, my name was Sukha. He said, okay, Sukha, you do something. And I could not. I said, I don't sing. I can't sing. And I don't know if there's anything really I could do. I wanted to get out of it in the worst possible way. And he said, well, you can do a headstand. And at that time I had been trained as a yoga teacher, but I thought a headstand was kind of a crazy thing to be adding to the mix. I said, a headstand? And he said, yeah. So I did a headstand. Actually, everybody clapped. They were happy. I think they just took it in the spirit. That's pretty good. And so I have to tell you that whenever we went to these little things, we would always do this, what called spontaneous entertainment. And I did headstands all over the place in South Korea. It was a crazy time. So that spirit really came to me with our burning Karma Cabaret last night. Thanks everyone for your participation. Thanks everyone for all the things that you've been doing to prepare for Buddha's birthday this year. I was looking over some kind of information about the history of Buddha in Korea, and actually it came to Korea in 372. And gradually Buddha's birthday celebration became a part of what the people celebrated, and they called it the lantern service. And it happened that in the 1100s, there must have been an upset in the country. And there was a report that I found in this book from the king's advisor. His name was Cho Chung-yo. And he was at the time of around Chino, around in the 1100s. So this is what this king's advisor said. Now we witness irregularities in the sun, moon, and stars, and the imbalance of yin and yang. Thus, even if we cannot perform the full ceremony, this is the lantern ceremony, with all the ritual music, I still hope that officials and private people will appropriately hang lanterns on this day in their own homes. The king agreed with this proposal. And then Cho Chung-yo went on. He also proposed during celebration and ceremony, the table spread with delicacies for the officials and the clothes worn by the royal guards are too luxurious. Please forbid this. The king followed the advice. Well, I think you can guess why I kind of like this section, because we are also experiencing irregularities in the sun, moon, and stars, and an imbalance of yin and yang. Metaphorically speaking, and probably, and indeed. So at that time, and when the country was in the Shila period of Buddhism in Korea, they were making adjustments to their Buddha's birthday celebration, just as we have been. Yeah, and we've had to be a little more austere and a little more simple. And it feels like, at least to me, it's been a good thing. Okay. So, from the Buddhist point of view, life as a human being is precious. A human is capable of freeing themselves from delusions and unhealthy thoughts and activities and has great potential to help others. Each newborn child has great potential to help not just themselves, but also wider humanity and all beings in existence. So, at this time, with the imbalance of yin and yang, as it is now with the pandemic, we might ask ourselves this question. It's been asked a lot. Since death is certain, but the time of death is uncertain, what is the most important thing? Since death is certain, and the time of death is uncertain, what is the most important thing? What is your answer? So good.
Here and now, this moment.
Uh-huh. Okay. I see some people, nodding their head. So good. Sagong.
Better do it now.
Better do it now. Okay. And those of you, wherever you may be, I hope you'll keep in touch, especially today. I wonder what you're thinking. I'd like to hear. So going on with this in your...
We have kindness and be present from the nice people.
Okay, our camera person speaks. So, we know we will die, but we really don't know how long we have to wake up. Wake up from the entanglement of our habitual patterns. We don't know how much time we have left to fulfill the potential of our precious human birth. I feel this one because I'm the oldest one in the room, and maybe I'm the oldest one on this service right now. And so I feel like my time, moment by moment, is really precious, and I kind of wonder, so then what is the best thing to be doing with this little amount of time? And in one sense, I like to read to you this poem, which I've read over the years because it's a pointer toward this. It's called Autobiography in 5 chapters. Chapter 1, I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. Chapter 2. No, here's the rest of chapter 1. Let's start chapter 1 again. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. So we're headed in the direction of what should we do with this time that's left. I'd like to go over just some basic essentials of spiritual practice. And I think maybe when the baby Buddha was pointing up and pointing down, and he said, I'm the leader of the herd. This is my last life. He was talking about this very essential of spiritual practice. And so I read from some notes I have taken. This is a sort of basis for all of us to work from. All beings and everything in the universe share an inherent foundation that has guided us over eons of evolution. Through it, everything is connected. Through it, everything, including material and spiritual realms, works together as one. This inherent foundation gives rise to all things, and all things return to it. And it has the ability to take care of everything we encounter in our life. I like the metaphor of the waves in the ocean. So the waves rise and they always return to the ocean. And they rise from the ocean and return. So this basic foundation, inherent foundation, is like that. Sometimes this foundation is called Buddha nature, inherent nature, true self, the one. So the Buddha is saying, this true nature is the leader. And you have to understand it for yourself, what these names are trying to express. We've all got the Buddha nature, but words fall short, and we have to really figure out how to get in touch with this Buddha nature. You have to understand for yourself. Sometimes people say, well, if I could just see for myself, it would be much easier to have faith in this, because I haven't seen any sign of this that I can tell. So what's the point in working with this kind of stuff? But our Buddha nature is not fixed, not a fixed material thing that can be grasped by our senses. It's kind of like we have to draw back a little, to pause, and in order for it to reveal itself. So the very first step in getting to know this Buddha nature, which is really, I'm proposing, is a thing that I've really got to get in touch with before I die in whatever time I have. First of all, we have to be able to trust it, that it really has, in a very invisible way, guided our lives so far. It's endowed with ability beyond imagination and is the source and destination of everything. And in my little experience, it can take care of whatever it is that confronts us. It surrounds us and is present throughout our lives. It is so close, ever present, right here, right now, just as you said, Sogan. So easy to overlook as we're looking down the street and not right in front of us. And that looking down the street is kind of metaphorical. So the first step is to trust in this. And when you start to trust in something, you start to use it. The second step is letting go of everything that arises from the outside or the inside, and trusting that your Buddha nature will take care of all of that, whether things seem to be going well or badly. This is learning to rely upon your inherent Buddha nature, rather than your fixed ideas about what constitutes something going well or not. And we all have these kind of fixed ideas of what something going well or not looks like. We have actually visceral experiences with that. So that's second step. First step is trusting, and then letting go, and then the third step is really to observe. In our Zen tradition, attention, attention, attention. See what happens after you let go, and pay attention to how things develop and turn out. If things go well, let go with gratitude. And when they don't, let go and think of that as homework, things to do, untangle. Once you become aware of I, me, they habitual patterns, rather than pushing them away, you just turn them over to Buddha nature. So you might think, oh, this is all fine, but what's the way to do this? Is there something practical? And there's a lot of practical things in our tradition. One is one that I learned a long time ago when my daughters and I went to a retreat with Thich Nhat Hanh. And I shared it with a lot of you a lot of times. But it never bears repeating. I mean, it never hurts to repeat something that's really helpful. And it was that calligraphy where he had us all bring a line across this. We had pieces of paper, and he was doing it with his calligraphy brush. So he said a line across, a line vertically, a line across, a little shorter one on the vertical bar, and then a circle around it. And he had us do it over and over again because he wanted us to remember it and the message. And the message was stop. Pause. Take a break. Look deeply and respond. By doing that, we dismantle our habitual patterns and we have a chance for Buddha nature to come forward. It doesn't come forward at your beck and call. You just have to be open and still and paused. Then it comes up. So that's one method if we're trying to, in this last time of our life, get in touch with our Buddha nature, which has such a beautiful effect on our lives and the lives of others. Then we have to learn how to stop. And then the second thing is in the methodology, let's see. Is something that I recently got from Pema Chodron, which I think was just an example of what Thich Nhat Hanh was saying, and that was Pema said, you must pause and allow a gap, because allowing a gap will allow the Buddha nature to come forward. And so that was the second. First is the stop with Thich Nhat Hanh, with that calligraphy. And then from Pema, she said, allow a gap. How do you allow a gap? Maybe go for a walk instead of trying to work with your entanglement. Maybe just look outside. Just allow a gap. And then what I have talked about in a couple of talks in the last few weeks is the whole idea of, our life being in our face. And we can just be completely engrossed in this life being in our face. And that we take and our hand represents that. And then if we just take it out, there's so much more. And this thing that's been in our face is within the perspective of great spaciousness and great possibility and great workability, rather than in our face and tangling us up. So that brings us to Viryaparamita. For the last few weeks, we've been going there. May I be generous? May I be follow the precepts? May I be patient? And this week it's may I be strenuous, energetic, and persevering. And that's Viryaparamita. But when we look at Viryaparamita, we have to look at something called the laziness factor. Have you heard of the laziness factor? Have you heard of the laziness factor, Maun? What is it?
Well, I've experienced the laziness factor. It's wanting to rest in old habits. For me, that's how I define it.
Yeah. Well, I think we might, this laziness factor that I'm talking about, and this virya, this strenuous, energetic, and persevering, which kind of goes with it, is not about our inability to work hard and really try hard at what we do. It's really about turning to our real work. Sometimes we are really mistaken in what we put so much energy toward, and we have to really look at our real work. And I think our real work is what our life that is left is offering us to find, which is our Buddha nature, and then the method to pause, to stop. Yeah. So it's seeing through the tangle of our habitual patterns, seeing things as they really are, is our real work. And as we do that, we allow the almost magic of our Buddha nature to click in. Great harmonization with situations is allowed. Our Buddha nature, our natural intelligence, it's been called, I like that, is always there to inform us. As long as we pause, we stop, we allow a gap. We are all enlightening beings. If you read into the Avatamsaka Sutra, which is about this thick, in almost every page, it talks about enlightening beings. That's who we are. That we're in a process. We're never at the end. We're always in a process. And I love what Venerable, well, I'm going to tell you about what Venerable Samusun said next. Sometimes what we really need to kick back into our Buddha nature and to have some touch with this natural intelligence is that just good habits of exercise, of the way and what we eat, of how we sleep. And sometimes it's good when we get into our entanglements, which are pleasant. You can get a good Buddhist book to read, and it sort of helps you in the process to see clearly. Yeah. And so, of course, too, meditation is a big pause, big stop, and has great potential for us to get in touch with our natural intelligence. So again, I say, the Buddha statue is one finger up and down, and then I am the leader of the herd. It is this Buddha nature that is being referred to. Yeah. Our dear Venerable Samusunam said about this kind of practice that we really get to our real work over and over again. And once again, fresh in this very moment, practice and you shine. So we keep getting back to our real work and pausing over and over again and yet again. Sometimes I feel a little guilty when I get up so many times from my desk, besides my watch clicking and telling me it's time to get up. And I wander over to look down from my window at the pond and see what birds are present, or look at a squirrel that's driving me crazy at the bird feeder. And I feel a little guilty that I should be staying at my desk and my table and getting the work done I'm supposed to be getting done. But I'm realizing more and more that the more I take the pause and the break, it's really quite joyful effort the rest of the time, when my natural intelligence comes through, my Buddha nature. Are you old enough to remember the song? Hey there, Georgie girl, there's another Georgie deep inside. Or maybe it could be boy. Hey there, Georgie boy, there's another Georgie deep inside. That was what the Buddha was saying too. The Beatles got it. Maybe. I haven't done much of a study on the Beatles except to know that their music is pretty good for dancing. So here is the ceremony for the celebration of Buddha's birthday. A few words from old Haju, and now a very special part. It means that we do the bathing of the baby Buddha, which we have up here. And from the spirit of my talk, what it is, you're not only appreciating the Buddha himself and his teaching, but you're learning to appreciate the Buddha nature, the natural intelligence that's within you and within each of us. So wherever you go, you're bumping into Buddhas. So going to do the bathing of the Buddha together, and then we're going to hear from Sunchal Sunam, great master in Korean, and then we'll just about be over. So please hang in, and you can get out your, it's interesting, if you look back at some of the scriptures, they said, get your drum, get your flute, get your, maybe motok, and do the chanting and do the bathing of the baby Buddha. So I'll ask by seniority, Maum, and then Hayun, and then Sagong, and then Sam, and Jajak and Sogan and Tara to come, each of you keeping your distance so that we all may be safe and well, to do the bathing of the Buddha. And let's all chant Sugha Munibul during that process. So it's S-O-G-A Sugha,
Suga.
M-U-N-I Muni,
Muni.
B-U-L Bul. Sugha Munibul.
Munibul.
Yeah, so let's start. Okay, before we have our special musical offering, we have a special Buddhist birthday greeting from Venerable Suncho Sunim. When he was the supreme ancestor of the Choge order in Korea, always gave a special address on Buddha's birthday. And here is one of them, which I added a little bit to at the end. To all you noble Buddhas currently living in prison, happy birthday. To all you austere Buddhas selling your smiles in taverns, happy birthday. To you countless Buddhas twinkling in the night sky, happy birthday. And happy birthday to all of you brightly smiling, beautiful Buddhas in the gardens. To all Buddhas who have become endlessly changing clouds as you drift across the sky, to all you Buddhas who are quietly biding your time as boulders, a very happy birthday to you too. And happy birthday to all you cute little Buddhas swimming in the water, to all you lively Buddhas soaring about the skies, to all you reverential Buddhas singing hymns in churches, and to all you handsome Buddhas chanting in temples. To all you Buddhas hoeing and plowing the fields and paddies, to all Buddhas sweating in the humming factories, to all you Buddhas working in dust and dirt, and to all you Buddhas quietly studying in classrooms, let me wish you all a very happy birthday. When I open my eyes, you are Buddha. When I close my eyes, you are Buddha. Every place in the universe is filled with Buddhas. Although we have different guises and appearances, we're all manifestations of the same single Buddha. Everything is equal and everything is magnificent. So let's transcend our torments in this world of Buddhas and be happy. How marvelous that every single place is a site for liberation from suffering and ignorance. To all you Buddhas who, by wearing the gentle smile of compassion, deliver the Dharma in a sound even greater than thunder, to all you Buddhas who fill every corner of the universe. Every day is a wonderful day, and every day is our birthday. So let's all eternally respect and congratulate one another. And especially, happy birthday to all you courageous Buddhas serving on the front lines at this time of pandemic. To all of you, we say, Happy birthday, Buddha! Okay, please be seated, and the choir, please come to line up for singing. And this song, somehow I just saw it the other day. It's called Simple Gifts, and it felt like a time when simple gifts are just especially important. And alternately, we might not have discovered that so much. Yeah, okay. I think I need the words. Do you have the words?
I just put new batteries in this thing. What is happening? I need to put new batteries in this thing. Or the old ones in.
I do a little meditation. Well, if you're hearing this service comes to you along with a special cake and a meal afterwards by the generous hearts of all of the residents of the temple right now. We have been working closely together. It's been a wonderful thing.
There it is.
Okay, here we go.
in the place just right. We'll be in the valley of love and delight.
Please join in for the next song. I'm going to come to. This is the one that we sing a lot around here, and especially at camp. You can please join in from. One, two, and three.
No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me. I release you to be so free. Because I am in you, and you are in me. Because I am in you, and you are in me. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me. I release you to be so free. Because I am in you, and you are in me. Because I am in you, and you are in me. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you close to me. I release you to be so free. Because I am in you, and you are in me. Because I am in you, and you are in me.
When you're up,
And when you're down, you're down. And when you're only halfway up, you're either up or down. Announcements, announcements, announcements. Hey, hey!
So thank you for being with us today for this special Buddha's birthday service. The festivities will now continue throughout the day. Because everything is virtual this time around, we sent out links to our various events. Those links are posted on our Facebook page and also in the e-bulletins. We have discovered that these links are somewhat browser dependent. So if you're having difficulty opening something, copy it, paste it to your browser, and then click, and it should open right up for you. So right after service, we have the virtual tea time hosted by, here in Ann Arbor, hosted by Tong Sun and Kusa, our Dharma teacher from Colorado Springs. At noon, Recovery Dharma continues to meet. They have sent out their virtual links as well. For those families out there, we have created a playlist of wonderful videos for you to watch. So I would encourage you to view those, and you'll see story by Susan, our Grand Rapids member, and also by Sandong, and a parade, and all sorts of things. Our day then wraps up with 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, lantern lighting service hosted by our Chicago Temple. So please check out that event as well. We look forward to being with you in spirit. One last reminder, please dedicate a tree instead of dedicating lanterns this year. We are making trees or dedications out of brown paper strips, and go hang your best intentions, your good wishes on a tree, and enjoy the rest of your Buddha's birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
So let's just go out and run the pond. So all of you at home, please go for a walk this beautiful spring day together.
Well, not too much in the place later. But that t-shirt. Got it.
In the street,
Mhm.
and then hot chocolate walks
Oh, okay.
enjoy.
Might tape it somehow. That's another, but you gotta tape it.
Right, that's right. Happy birthday.